All right, today for Integrated Math 1, our topic will be graphing linear equations in standard form by converting standard form to slope-intercept form and using x and y intercepts. So with our first method, we are going to be converting from standard form to slope-intercept form in order to graph these linear equations. So you guys have to be able to recognize that standard form is in the form of ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c will be numbers, while a and b are your coefficients, the number in front of the variables, and c is a constant. Whereas slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, the rise over the run, and the b is the y-intercept in the form of 0, comma b. Some examples of standard form and slope-intercept form are, if we take a look at the linear equation 3x plus 4y equals 5, I know it's in standard form because all of my x and y variables are on the left-hand side of the equal sign, and we have a constant on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So that's how I know that it is in standard form. Y equals negative 3x plus b. I know that equation is in slope-intercept form because we have the y by itself on the left-hand side, and we have negative 3x is the slope, mx, and we have 3, which is the b value. All right, for our next example, we have the equation 5x plus 4y equals negative 20. And before we can graph this linear equation, we have to convert from slope-intercept form to standard form, and we need to get y by itself. We cannot graph linear equations in standard form until we get it into slope-intercept form. So in example 1, I have 5x plus 4y equals negative 20. This linear equation is in standard form. I can't graph it yet, but I'm going to convert it into slope-intercept form. So my goal is I want to get y by itself. So using a little bit of algebra, I subtracted 5x on both sides, and I got 4y equals negative 5x minus 20. That y value is not by itself because it has a coefficient of 4, so I want to make sure I divide each term by 4. After I divide 4 by each term, the 4 on the left-hand side cancels out, and I'm left with y equals negative 5x over 4 minus 5. This equation is now in slope-intercept form because the y value is by itself, and we have y equals negative 5x over 4 minus 5. We can now graph the linear equation because it is in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and graph the linear equation of y equals negative 5x over 4 minus 5. So what I want to do is I want to create my coordinate plane with the x and y axis. And since I'm in slope-intercept form tells me two things. It gives me my slope, which is negative 5 over 4, and my b value is negative 5. So to find my y-intercept, my y-intercept is 0, comma b. So my b value is negative 5, so my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma negative 5. So my starting point is going to be at 0, comma negative 5. So I'm going to plot that point, 0, comma negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my y-intercept. And using my slope of negative 5 over 4, my slope here tells me that I have a negative slope, so I'm going to go down. So instead of going up, since I have a negative slope, I'm going to go 5 units down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to run 4 units to the right. So I'm going to run 4 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my point is right here. Now that I have my y-intercept and the points I plotted because of the slope, I'm going to go ahead and connect these 2 points to complete my graph. And your graph should look like this. All right, let's take a look at example 2, and we're going to graph the linear equation 12x minus 8y equals 40. Since this linear equation is in standard form, I can't graph it right away. Remember, if I'm given a linear equation in standard form, I have to go from standard form to slope-intercept form. So in order to do that, I have to get the y value by itself. So I'm going to take a look at the equation 12x minus 8y equals 40, and I want to get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 12x from both sides. This cancels, and I get negative 8y equals negative 12x plus 40. The y value isn't by itself yet, so I want to make sure I want to divide each term by negative 8. Here the negative 8 cancels, and I get y equals negative 12 divided by negative 8. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I'm left with 12 over 8. 12 and 8 are both divisible by 4, so negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. Negative 8 divided by 4 is 2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I'm left with 3 over 2x. 40 divided by negative 8 is negative 5. And now I have my linear equation in slope-intercept form. I know this is slope-intercept form because the y value is by itself. So I have y equals mx plus b. So we're good to go. It's in slope-intercept form. It's in slope-intercept form, so I can go ahead and graph this linear equation. So my slope is going to be 3 over 2. It's going to be a positive slope, and my b value is negative 5. So this tells me that my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma b. So my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma negative 5. That's going to be our starting points. So we have our slope and our y-intercept, and I'm going to go ahead and create my coordinate plane with the x and y axis. My y-intercept is going to be 0, comma negative 5, so I'm going to go down 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my y-intercept is my starting point. And my slope tells me that I'm going to go up 3 units. So 1, 2, 3 units up, and I'm going to have a run of 2, which tells me I'm going to go 2 units to the right. So 1, 2, 3 units up, and 2 units to the right. Now that I have my second points, I can go ahead and graph my linear equation. And there we go. We have our line. All right, our third example, we want to graph y equals 1/3 x plus 1. So with these YouTube videos, I want you guys, every time I do an example problem, I want you guys to pause the YouTube video to try it by yourself. Try the question by yourself, the example problem, and then unpause the video so you can see if you did it correctly, if you need to make some corrections. So yeah, let's get started with example 3. So we're going to graph y equals 1/3 x plus 1. Now, I do not have to get y by itself, or I don't have to move anything around like I did in the previous example, because the nice thing about this problem, y equals 1/3 x plus 1, is that this equation is already in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to, right away, I'm going to find my slope. My slope is going to be m equals 1 over 3. And my b value is going to be 1. So that tells me that my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma 1. Now that I have my slope and my y-intercept, I'm going to graph my linear equation on a coordinate plane. So I'm going to graph my y-intercept first, 0, comma 1. 0, comma 1 is right here. And my slope of 1 over 3 tells me that the linear equation is going to have a positive slope. So I'm going to go up 1 unit, and I'm going to go to the right 3 units. So up 1, right 3. And my new coordinate point is going to be right here. Now that I have my y-intercept and the point created by the slope, I can go ahead and connect the 2 points and create my line. So my line should look something like this.